I think one of the biggest pressure as a woman in Southeast Asia is marriage. You graduate, you get a partner, whether or not you know that person is right for you.
That's questionable.
Get a house, whether or not you're financially stable yet, so you get a kid. If I leave, then I am nothing. It was all about me listening to them and not me listening to myself. I want to be a mom that is able to be present with herself, that is able to fill my own cup before I attend to the needs of my kids. I can be happy every day, but am I fulfilled doing the things? Your emotions is going to tell you what the hell you're going to do.
Hi, welcome back to Bold Moves, the podcast where we empower women to be bold, be brave, and to be you. I'm your host, Ayu, and today is another special day. I have someone special coming in today to share a life-changing story. Someone who is dared to be different, to follow their intuition, and to prioritize self-love. So, get ready to be inspired, and I promise you a good quality of conversation. Let's get into it.
So thank you for coming in today and sit here with me to talk about whatever we will talk about. I think this is going to be good. I've read your story and we need to talk more about that more often. And I just want to thank your time, you and your courage to come here to empower women from this platform. And I really thank you for that. And I think your story will be a big inspiration for people.
I appreciate your words. Let's get started.
So yeah, let's get started.
Yeah.
So I've got my question in here, but don't get intimidated. So let's start with the big topic here.
Okay.
About the societal expectation. Growing up in Southeast Asia, you grew up in Singapore, I grew up in Indonesia. So I can relate, but can you share more about the pressure, the expectation you face growing up in Southeast Asia? About, for example, the role, expectation, and the marriage for women.
So, I'm 29 right now, just like big context, okay? I think one of the biggest pressure as a woman in Southeast Asia is marriage. It's not like to get a job. It's not to provide for the whole family, but marriage. I got married at a very young age of 22. 22, that's crazy.
Yes,
That's
that's
crazy.
pretty young, hey?
It is. So I graduated at the age of 20. That's just 2 years after,
That's very quick.
right? And in that 2 years, I was looking at how my friends were getting engaged, how people around me were getting
Is that
pregnant.
the people around you as well?
Yeah, the
at
people
that
I
age?
know. Yes.
Okay.
So it's like, oh my God. Then I'm not doing it yet. So I feel so alien.
Yeah.
Am I doing something wrong?
Of course, because when the people around you are either getting married or pregnant or engaged and all that, I think it's kind of like pressurized. You like a peer pressure as well.
Yeah.
Is it?
You just don't feel normal. But at 22, you are not able to think rationally yet. So you take into context of the people that's around you, they're doing it. So you follow it because you think that that is a normal way to live.
It's the normal way to
Yeah.
stuff, and you were so young.
Yeah, 22. And the fact that families, words also impact you, I feel like in Southeast Asia, your family would want to know, if you're dating yet, who are you dating? I think that.
Did they really ask you, like, sorry to ask, did they really ask you, like, Cha, who are you dating right now? Is it getting somewhere or things like that? Did they ask?
Not specifically ask who are you dating yet, but they were going like beating around the bush, like we want to see who you're dating. So I brought him over at that time, and oh my God, like I felt that after showing who I was dating back then to my family,
Mhm.
like things between both parties just escalated very fast. Like, okay, you have
It's
to go
going
married.
to that
Right? And I was like,
funnel of
yes.
marriage.
Like we entered the funnel and then we have to get
When
to
are
the
you getting
bottom.
married?
Right? Then I did not have second thoughts about it because I thought, okay, I am following what my other friends are doing.
Mhm.
It's normalized. It's what my family is leaning into. No second thoughts. Brain cells, none.
It's funny when you talk about this, I started to go back in
Mm.
time when I was 20, 21. That was right because now I remember I was invited to a lot of weddings of
Mm.
my friends, and then I was like, yeah, what you said
Yeah.
actually makes sense, especially in Southeast Asia. It's like marriage is like an achievement,
Yeah.
like at that time, but we know that our brain
Mm.
didn't develop until right now. You know, when
Yes.
we are in 28, 29, 30, when
Mm.
you get through some shit in your
Yeah.
life and it becomes like it developed
Mm.
fully. And I think I can understand that. Talking of, is it only the marriage though? Like, how about being a mom? Is it something that they push through as well in Singapore, the society?
I'm not sure if it is happening around the world as well, but I felt that when I was in Singapore, it does feel like I have to get a child. Like after get married, get a child
What
because that is what we call like a Singaporean dream.
What's that?
Yeah, Singaporean dream. I'm not sure if every other country has like their own brainwashed way to live, but in Singapore, the Singaporean dream is that after
This
you
is interesting.
graduate,
Graduate.
after you graduate, you get a partner,
Mhm.
you marry that partner, whether or not you know that person is right for you.
That's questionable.
Questionable,
And
but
then?
and then you get a house. Get a
Oh.
house, whether or not you're financially stable yet.
But how do you get a house in this economy?
So in
Okay.
Singapore, we have like a government funded one,
Yeah,
but you still have to put cash into it, you
Yeah,
know?
of course.
So after getting a house, that's where you get a kid. Get a kid and then just live life.
Oh, so that's it. Life ends after
So
you
you
get a kid.
Yeah. And then done.
Like I've never heard that before. I thought Singapore is a little different from from my country, Indonesia. And Indonesia is actually the same thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm not saying it's good or wrong. No, it's not about good or it's not about being right or being wrong. No, it's not. It's about us have a choice. We have a choice,
That's
right?
true.
Women, especially women, sometimes we think we do not have a choice. It's like, okay, where life is going to take me, but you can actually find your own path.
That's true.
People didn't tell us.
Didn't tell us.
No, it's just like for the boys, yeah, what do you want to do? But for women, a mom.
It's like we're programmed to do that certain way and that certain way only. And done.
So for me, it's interesting how our society still think that way with this information era right now. You get
It's 2024.
Exactly.
Right?
And so yeah, that's funny. And then I wanna comment on, because you've said in your story, many people think that the process after divorce is hard, because you told me that you're divorced and you're a single mom right now. You said, quote, many people think that the process after divorce is hard, but to me, the journey before the divorce is the hardest. Can you tell me more about that process? I know it's
Definitely.
hard, but we're here to talk about the hard stuff.
Of course. I think I've moved past on like looking at it in a sad point of view because it's already like a lesson, a learning point for me. I've developed into like a whole new other person as well, so it's fine. I'm ready.
I can actually see that. So
Yeah.
that's why I bring up this topic, because you seem okay with that.
So why do I say that the after the divorce journey is not the hard part? Is because when we are married, this is just my point of view. When we are married, it's like we are programmed to be two people as one. But the thing is that both of you are individuals of your own identities.
Agree.
But what I felt back then was that I was not me. I was a combination of us two back then. So when I want to venture out, get divorced, and do my own thing, I felt that I couldn't, because I felt that if I leave, then I am nothing. I have nothing. So financially, mentally, everything else. Like if I leave, I don't have a house, I don't have a stable income. How am I gonna provide for my kid? How am I gonna provide for myself? There's so many overthinking going on back then that was the hardest part
Okay.
of the journey.
Because
The-
it's a big decision for you.
Yes,
It's not just for you, it's
the
for
overthinking, the big decisions, it's the hardest part because you are doubting yourself. And you felt very, very constrained because you are with this person and not your own person.
Okay.
Mm.
I can understand that.
So,
Because you are still an individual person, you know, you are not, you become one, yes,
Yeah,
in
correct.
some things, but you still want your stuff, he still want his stuff.
correct. But what I felt back then was that we were combined. I wasn't who I want to be. I didn't even know who I was back then. I got married so young, you know?
Mhm.
And then that was the hardest part for me. But one day it just flipped my switch that if I don't get out of this environment, then I'm not able to venture out and identify who I am.
True.
So what I did was that I just told myself, girl, today, print that paper out, fill it up, send it out. It's just these 3 steps. 3 steps. Print, fill up, send out. And that's what I did in just like a few hours. That was the hardest but yet easiest thing to do.
Yeah,
It sounds easy, but it's hard.
I think it's very difficult to make that decision in your life
Mm-hmm.
with the limiting belief that you've had, right?
Mhm.
Like, I will be nothing. I will not have my own house after
Mhm.
this because we were one, and now I become half. No,
Yeah.
but you were. What makes you so brave to print and send it? What is there any turning point that fuck it, I'm doing it?
Mm.
Like, is it because for a lot of women, divorce is very, in our society, is very negative.
Mm.
Like, oh, you're divorced. Like, oh, something wrong with you?
Yeah, I know,
Like,
right? Why is it always something wrong with us? What do you mean?
It's like, and then I was like, what? It's just sometimes things do not work out. But again, people do not want to hear
Mm.
that. Society doesn't want to hear that.
Mhm.
So, what was, before you printed, what was the last thought in your head? Like, I'm doing it.
My frontal lobe was developed. I think I was around 27,
Okay, that happened.
26
Okay.
years old. I was more self-aware. I knew what I want to do and I want to do so much more. But I
You know
felt
that
that,
you're capable of
yes,
doing more things.
even if I still have my doubts, like, am I gonna do that? Am I
Everyone
okay
has
doing that?
Yeah.
But I want to do that. Like, I want to try doing that. But I felt that the person I was with is not aligned with my goals, with my mission, vision, values in my upcoming life that I want to
Mhm.
achieve. So I felt very limited. I mean, 22 to 27 is such a huge gap. But after your frontal lobe is developed, you're more aware. Yeah.
Enlightened.
You're more aware of what you want. You're more aware of who you're living with. I mean, if you know that, okay, before you get married, you're more aware of this person, you are aware of yourself, then that's fine. But I didn't know who I was when I got married, but I got married at such a young age. At 27, I finally know what I want, who I am. That's such
That's
an
perfect
important
timing.
aspect.
27.
Mm.
That's where the frontal lobe developed, like
Yeah.
you said, because I read about that as well. And yeah, that makes sense.
It does.
But you had to stay in 5 years of, is it really toxic?
I don't regret, but I wouldn't say I regret getting married. I did not. If I regretted it, then that would be a whole other story. I think that marriage itself taught me so much. I have my child. I love him. The experience itself taught me a lot. If I didn't get married, if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't go through such a transformation and be who I am right now. So
Transformation.
yes,
Such a word.
everything in life is something that you should take note of as a learning point. Not a regret. It's not a waste of time. It's a huge learning curve for me. Yeah.
Do you hear yourself that you are actually that mature, saying it was a learning curve for you?
It was a learning curve.
Because it transforms you into this woman right now that I'm talking with. And imagine, well, you are 29 right now. So 7 years ago, when you were 22, it's long, but it's not that long. You were a different person, right? You're a different
Very
woman.
different. That girl, 22 years old, she did not know a clue on who she is. Like if you ask me back then, what do I like to do? I can't answer. I didn't know what I like to do. I didn't know what I want to do every single day, what I like, what I'm passionate about. And I want to get married, girl. What was I thinking? But we were so pressured into thinking that this path is a normalized path, this path is what you should follow, then do it. But no one told me that I have to find myself first. But I feel great now. And if someone were to ask me, what is a perfect age to get married? I would say wait until your frontal lobe is developed.
I would say the same thing as well.
Right?
I would say the same thing as well. So you mentioned about your son before, right? So you are a single mom right now. And how did becoming a mother that young? You had him when you were 22 or
23.
Influence your self of identity? Because 23 years old and then you gave birth is such a big thing for a woman. How does it translate into, I'm a mom at 23. Where am I right now? Because when you were at 23, you were just trying to find out who you are, and at that time you already have a baby with you. So how it influences your self of identity
for right now. So as I mentioned just now, 22, I was still trying to identify who I was. 23, I'm still confused on who I was, but it became more confusing because now I have to navigate motherhood. Like it's such a huge change because one day I was in my bed all alone, getting a full 9 hours sleep. And then overnight I have contraction. And the next thing I know, I have a baby that I need to feed.
So you need to attend 24
such
hours.
a fast change, you know? I'm confused on who I am, how to navigate motherhood, and I'm not getting sleep. There's such a huge change that I navigated, and it made me develop major depression. Yeah, so all those confusion, identity, the exhaustion, I had major depression. I had to go to therapy, get medicated, and I just felt like, oh God, this is not why I want to live, not how I want to live. Yeah, that's definitely not me. Like, I don't know who I am yet, but this is definitely not what I want. You know, so how that made me to who I am right now, how that transformed my identity to right now is that I now know how to navigate my way. So if you ask me how I navigated motherhood back then, was that I listened to people's advices. Oh, this is how you should be doing motherhood. This is how you should attend your baby. This is how you should take care of your kid. It's always how you should listen to people, ask people for advices. But I never understood what and how I want to handle him, my kid. And
Your way.
Yeah. So it's all about it was all about me listening to them and not me listening to myself, because I had no space, no time.
Because it becomes the outer voice is louder than your own, because you kind of like bury
Yeah.
down there because you didn't know who you were.
So right now, I learned that my own voice is so much more important first. If I feel that I need to get advices, I need some learning knowledge from other people, then that's where.
Say that again. Now your own voice is so much important than any other's voice.
Absolutely. Listen to your own gut. Listen to your own intuition. You know, that's what I am doing right now. Like, if something's wrong with my kid, I check him out. I make the decision. Not
Because
others.
you know,
I know.
because you know yourself now. You know what mom you want to be, what woman you want to be right now, and I think it's great that you find that strength, because a lot of people, they don't have the privilege to find that strength. Either they don't have the privilege to do that, or they don't want to, because they get too comfortable
Listening to others.
listening to
Burying
others
their
and
voices.
burying their voices. And by the time they're just living life based on the current, and they ended up somewhere that, oh shit, where am I right now?
I'm too far
I
in
don't
right now.
feel like, and now what? I'm 52. I cannot do anything. So I'm going to stay in this kind of relationship. Or if it's toxic, if it's not, then it's good. But that needs some strength and courage.
And
to it.
awareness also,
And
I would
awareness.
say.
Yeah, that's right. So you also said, what happened after the divorce? You said you moved into your parents, or how that transition?
So in December 2021, I moved out because I felt that this is it. You know, I already filed it, and the next thing I know is I want to get out of the environment, so that I can feel more focused on myself. I mentioned that I felt like I was a combination of me and him. I want to feel more of me. So I moved out. I moved back to my parents' place. And I was just trying to adapt to be a single mom, you know, okay, sending to school on my own, feed him on my own, do this, everything on my own. Just trying to adapt. But 1 month later, oh my gosh, my dad passed away. Okay, I shouldn't be laughing, but
I understand now why you're laughing, but it's actually heavy.
It's heavy
and difficult. But sometimes it's our way to make it light.
Yes, correct.
That's the way you cope. I cope with laughter as well. Sometimes the way you're laughing, because it's how I cope. It's uncomfortable, right?
Yep, it is.
But that's why I laugh. You know, sometimes, but it's not because it's funny. It's more because that's how I cope. That's why I understand you say I'm not supposed to laugh, but I totally understand that, because my personality is like that too. So can you talk more about the transition, right? Because it's just like, girl, you just had a divorce. You have a toddler with you, toddler at that time, right? Oh, and then your dad passed away. How do you do that? How do you manage to?
It's a lot.
How do you manage to emotionally the negative thoughts, I don't know. I just found that story is very difficult, very heavy, and I just want you to know that I acknowledge that, because it's just, I tried to imagine in being in that situation, and I was like, how am I going to do that? So that's why I'm asking you, how do you manage daily?
How do I manage daily?
To get up and I'm going to take my son to school. I'm going to cook for the lunch. I'm going to have a walk. How do you do that? It's just,
honestly, every day I try and cry. That's the word. Try and cry.
That's a word. Yeah.
That's the reality of it. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
No,
every single day I wake up after my dad's death, I was grieving his death. I was adapting to be a single mom. it's not just about waking up and be so motivated to achieve what I wanted to do. But I needed to acknowledge that I was feeling at my lowest point. Okay, I moved out. I was adapting to be a single mom. I was going through a divorce. I was grieving the death of my dad. It's a lot to unpack, you know? So I did not want to avoid that emotion. I know that I have to continue to try every single day to be a better person, to be a better mother. But at the same time, I did not want to avoid those emotions.
The feelings,
Yeah.
the emotions that you went through.
Yeah.
Because it's actually a lot, right?
It is.
It's
a lot.
intense, I think.
And the fact that it's one after another in just short months, that's crazy.
So you got the divorce, right? And then after that, what happened? You move in to your parents.
I moved into my
And then 1 month after that,
my dad passed away. That's a lot. It happened in 2 months. Then it's like, wow, how am I going to do this? You know? So I know what I want to do. I already have my goal. That's why I wanted to move out. I wanted to be separated.
you want to be the woman that you wanted to be. Because before you said you were limited.
I was.
And then when you just started to find the strength again, right? Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be single mom. I'm going to make it. And then boom, you lost your dad. Another thing happened. And that's why I believe this is very difficult. Even I don't think I could handle that well without support, right? But I realized that the only one who can help you is you.
Definitely.
And to get up every morning, of course, you're not going to feel, I'm great, I'm going to do, because you just went through all of that spiral of, well, I might say depression, you know, like, have you ever felt that dark, that times, like very feel like I don't want to do anything. I just want to, but then you have your son. So that's why I'm asking you, how do you find the strength to do it? It's just coming within you, or it's just like you find it somewhere, you talk to someone, you talk to friends, or it's just highly intuition. It's just like, no, I've got to do something different because I want a different life. Which part helps you to make a decision? I have to be strong. I've got to get up.
It's a mixture of so many things, to be honest. Firstly, I would say that I created the goal for myself. I see myself being that woman that I want to be. So that keeps me going. So my intuition tells me that, hey, keep going. That's gonna be you in the future. But if we're looking at it in daily manner, what keeps me going every single day is that I was trying to learn something new. So in day one, I know that I have to learn something new to elevate myself. To upskill myself. So I took on online courses. I was in groups of career change. I was learning new things, feeding myself with so much knowledge, and that gave me such a huge adrenaline boost. That gave me dopamine boost. And I become addicted to learning. I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
No, it's a good thing. Yeah.
The fact that after,
because you want to elevate yourself. That's the reason. The reason why is because I want to elevate myself. Yeah.
But the elevating is just the idea of it. The result of your daily, like you learn something new every single day.
Yeah.
In day one, after day one of learning something, you already feel like, oh my God, I learned something new.
You learn something
and that gives
new every
such
single
a
day.
confident boost. And the fact that these are considered small wins, every single day I do it consistently, it gave me such strength. It provided me so much confidence that I can actually see myself. I can feel the change.
Visualize and
Look, I'm going to translate it into, another word. I think the more you do those little challenging things, it helps you to find the strength. And you want to do more. That's why you mentioned the word addicted, because you know that you are capable.
It's a good addiction
to do things. You feel more capable to do things. And I also think it might help you eliminating the self-doubt before, because you mentioned about, how am I going to have a house? How am I going to raise this kid by myself? Because being single mom, sometimes in our society, is like, something wrong with you? What's with you? What's your story? But again, so I think it helps you when you do more that little things. You wake up, you feel shit, and you keep going. By the time you kind of like get used to it, okay, I'm going to do more things today, new things. Oh, it's exciting. It's new. So you kind of like learn from that.
Yeah.
To be strong, to do it more, and you can see it. There's a change within you. Now I get it. Okay.
It becomes something like you like to do. Yeah, I like doing this. I like learning new things. And you are in search for more things to learn. And you just keep on going. And I promise you, after 2 weeks of consistent learning, of consistent upskilling, finding, like, achieving these
After 2
small
weeks.
little things, in just 2 weeks, you're going to be a whole new person. You're going to feel so much more confident.
This is the reason people do the 14 days challenge to do something.
14 days. Oh,
Yeah.
is there such a thing?
Yeah.
Really?
So it's like 14 days challenge to, for example, if you want, let's say you want to be healthier or eating healthier. So you have to be consistent for 14 days doing the whole thing. And then after 14 days, you're going to get used to that. Because you've been doing that heavy things, that new changes in 14 days. And then you find the strength. Okay, now I have the options. After 14 days, it's your options, right? You want to eat junk food or you want to eat healthy food. But then it's your mind kind of like shaping over the 14 days. I'm going to choose healthy food today. So that's why, because you mentioned 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Of doing something like discipline, consistent, and then your mind changes.
Yeah.
Because I believe you can choose to stay in that state, right? Being depressed, being not able to do things, or thinking negatively about yourself, but you chose not to. Do you realize that it is something that you have within you? Do you realize
it is always in all of us? It's just buried underneath all the external factors, from people, from what we are programmed to believe in.
True.
We are so capable of so many things, but external factors play such a huge role into this, don't you think so? Right? So if you just get rid of all that, you can unbury, like dig that out.
That's pretty interesting, because we were talking about intuition, and you mentioned before about women think from two places. Yeah, can you tell me more about that?
You know, when you want to do something, but at the same time you are doubting yourself.
Self-doubt. Where is it coming from? The self-doubt.
Where is it coming from? So I always think in two different places. How many places do you think in? Do you think you're only thinking with your brain? I think in two different places. I feel like as a woman,
this is interesting.
As a woman, my intuition should always be heard first, because it is something that comes from within. So the first place I think from is my gut. The second place I think from is my brain. So when I am in a setting that is uncomfortable, the first thing that comes to me that I feel is get out. Get out of that area. Leave that.
So that's from the gut feeling.
That's from the gut feeling.
Because it's more like energy.
I don't feel safe. I feel uncomfortable. You really
Instinct.
want to do this? But if that gut feel travels up to my brain, to my mind will say, just hang a little bit longer. What would people think about you if you leave now? Sure you want to do this? So we are programmed to think that if we stay in that situation that is uncomfortable, then people would think wrong to you of us. But
Yeah, that's so interesting because you mentioned two places: the gut feeling and the brain, which is sometimes because the gut feeling is sometimes not sometimes about you because it's you, your energy, and then you go to the logical part of your brain. It becomes like sometimes it's people's voice in there, the society, your friends. Yeah, the external factors is actually in there. So it's kind of like limiting yourself.
Correct.
Because if you want to do something in here, right? You have this want A. I want to do A, but then hang on, let me think about that. And in here,
to.
in here,
telling you what to do.
is actually, oh, this is what my mom thinks. This is what my sister, this is my brother, this is my friends. Oh no, I'm not doing that. That's very interesting. I love that. I love this conversation about talking about this because I've never had this conversation before and only with you. And we only met today. And it's just like you talk about women think in two places. And I think everyone, right? But we tend to hear more in here and people's voice rather than our voice. Because growing up in Southeast Asia is pretty intense about the culture, about what you need to do as a woman, what you need to do about marriage. Like you said before at the beginning, it's what we need to be doing. Like Singaporean dream you said before. It's very structured and we cannot live freely.
Yep.
Being ourselves is pretty difficult.
Because
Why do you think it's difficult as a woman to be themselves?
Why is it difficult?
Uh-huh.
Because I just feel like people think that our job is to just give birth, have kids, be at home. When people think of mothers, the first few things that they think about is the idea of a home. But
Nurturing.
But they can look at it in two different perspectives. The first one is that the idea of a home, what does a mother do? Is the idea of a mother in the home doing all the chores, tending to the kids, rushing here and there? Or is the idea of the mother nourishing the environment, being her, being present?
Yes. Being the woman they wanted to be.
Yes, correct. Providing quality love. So when people think of a woman, mother, the idea of a home is what comes to their mind. But how do you look at it? How do you look at the word mother? The mother rushing here and there, fixing your laundry, doing chores, or is a mother in your imagination someone that is nourishing?
What kind of mother you want it to be?
I want to be someone. I want to be a mom that is able to be present with herself, that is able to fill my own cup before I attend to the needs of my kid.
Okay, hold on to that cup thing.
Okay,
that's very interesting. Let's talk more about that. You mentioned fill your cup first. Does it mean that? Is it about self-love? Does it mean, how does it translate into being a woman in the society, especially you're a mom? Can you tell me more about this fill the cup thing?
Filling your own cup is about discovering your likes, discovering your dislikes. You need to know what makes you going every single day. If you are in an environment that you don't like, do you stay? Do you leave? why do you do that?
So when you're saying filling your cup, right? Is it something, what I understand from that is filling your own cup sometimes can be negative because like selfish. Because, oh, you just think about yourself. And I do not agree with that. But from what you say, it's like filling my cup first. And then, for example, if I have a son, I still have to fill their cup, right? Because like you said, they're not aware of things. They're still like, especially when they're just 6. But filling my cup first, does it mean that I have to be a happy person first?
I think happy is not the word. It's more of it's about feeling that you are able to wake up every single day wanting to do things that makes you feel fulfilled.
Fulfilled is the
Fulfilled,
word. Yeah.
yes.
Because happy is that, but fulfilled is another word.
I can be happy every day. Correct? I can be upset on some days, but am I fulfilled doing the things?
Do you listen to that? That is important.
It is.
Because happy is a state of mind, right? Happy is state of mind. I can feel happy anytime I want, but
Correct.
but do you really fulfill doing the same things you do every day, being a mom, being you? And I think that's a very important part. So fill your cup first.
Fill your cup first before you
It's
feel
not
happy.
selfish. Okay, before we are wrapping up, I have one question.
Okay.
So what is your final thought, final words for women who are going through similar challenges like you had before? What would you say to them, to the women that going through that trap in their toxic relationship maybe, or maybe they're thinking about divorce, but they just feel trapped. They don't. Yeah. What would you say? Just think of you giving this speech to the person. What would you say?
It is okay to feel that way. Sit with your emotions. Do not avoid your emotions, because your emotions is going to tell you what the hell you're going to do. Because if you're not able to understand why you're feeling that way, then you are not able to come up with solutions to leave the environment. And when we talk about leaving the environment, people think that it's a bad thing, but you're not. It can be a good thing. You have to get out there to realize that you have so much more to do, that you are able to find your likes, your dislikes, and fill your own cup. Right now, you're feeling like you are trapped, you're limited in a place, then that means that you are not feeling fulfilled. You are not filling your cup. So you need to sit with your emotions, understand why you're feeling that way, and do something that fulfills you.
That's beautiful message. So I think it is very important to sit with emotion, because people tend to, this is negative emotion, this is positive. I do not want to feel that negative emotion. I just want to go to, but you cannot transform to positive without the transition. So I think sit with the emotion is the transition towards the positive emotion.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
for
much.
today. And I think this episode is going to inspire a lot of people out there, especially the women who feel like they're trapped, who feel like this is not what I want to do. And I think you're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you for doing everything that you did in your 20s, and you're about to embark on your 30 with a lot of perspective, rebirth of new opportunities. And thank you so much for today.
Yay!
So make sure you watch this episode. It will be my episode 9 of my podcast, and see you then. Bye.